Hey you, how's it going? So in today's tutorial you are going to learn how to paint this beautiful rainbow stone with just simple items that you have probably already on hand at home. You do want to find a nice smooth rock. It just helps everything go on nice and even. You could also use my stone mold number 2 from the DecoArt Depot, same size. It's about a 5-inch stone here. Now I am going to be using regular acrylic paint. I am smearing the paint of the base coat on with my hand just to stay true to the fact that you really only need like 4 different things for tools. So if you don't have a paintbrush, just use your hand. No biggie. Alright, you do want to make sure your base coat is good and dry before you move on. I am going to demonstrate today's project using DecoArt Americana regular acrylic paint. So any acrylic paint that you have on hand should work perfectly fine. You want to look for household items that are flat and round. So I am addicted to chapsticks. I have tons of chapsticks around here. I'm going to use a chapstick lid for my center dot. And then I'm going to be using the flat end of a pencil eraser, so a good fresh eraser. You can use either the pointy end of a pencil or a toothpick for the really small dots. And then as far as cotton swabs go, you do want to have the kind that has the paper stick, not the plastic stick. And on one end you take all of the cotton off and the paper stick will make another size. And on the other end you leave the cotton on and you smear on some paint, and you just kind of want to smear it on and push down the stick. And then you're going to let that harden and it basically becomes like a dotting tool. Alright, so we're starting off with titanium white and the chapstick lid. Now I'm going to dip the lid of the chapstick into the paint, and you do want the whole end totally covered. You don't want it going all the way up the sides, but you do want it completely covering the end of the, chapstick there. This is going to be an off-centered mandala design, so place your dot to one side of the stone, just wherever you would like it, and then simply clean off your lip balm with a damp towel. For the first ring we're going to be using red, and this particular paint is called Red Alert, and I'm going to be applying it with a toothpick, so they're very teeny tiny dots. You're going to place your dots as close as you can to the center dot without actually touching it. So you can just start at any point and then dot as many as you can right around that center dot. And I just reuse my toothpick over and over, so I just clean it off. Second ring is going to be made with the color called Royal Fuchsia, and I'm using the stick end of the cotton swab. So I'm going to go ahead and dip it in paint and make my first dot, re-dip it in paint, and then make a dot straight down below it, and then one dot out to one side, and then another dot out to the other side, so like a crisscross. And then just kind of eyeball it and make a dot right in between each of those. And then I was able to squeeze 2 dots right in between each of those, and if you think it's a little too tight for your preferences, then just go ahead and place 1. That's perfectly fine. And if they touch a little bit, well, that's not a big deal. No one will even notice it. We are not machines. This is art. Speaking of not being perfect, I do go a little wrong here with the colors, but you can watch till the end to see how I fix it. Now this color is called Golden Yellow, and I'm using the cotton swab end, the tool that we made. I'm going to be using the larger cotton swab end here, and you do kind of want to push it down, the first couple dots, and get a good flat spot on the end, and that'll just help it be, a uniform dot each time for you. Just kind of wiggle it back and forth, make it do whatever you need it to do. We're going to do a very similar process here. I'm going to do a dot up, down, left, right, and then a dot right in between each of those, just like before, but this time I'm just going to put 1 dot in between each of those. And it fits just right. And I'm just going to use that same damp towel and just kind of pat it clean, that way we can reuse it. The next color I'm using is called Bright Orange, and I'm going to be using the pencil eraser. And this time we're going to be offsetting from the previous row. So right in between where the previous row of dots are, you're going to place an orange dot all the way around. So it'll be a total of 16 dots in the ring. Now to fill out some of the space, I'm going to be adding a very small dot, the same color, right at the top and the bottom in between each of the dots, all the way around the ring. The next color is called Festive Green, and again I'm going to use the pencil eraser and offsetting from the previous row. So right above where the little tiny dots are, place your green dot. And then around these, I'm going to add some detail, and it kind of looks like lace. It's very pretty. You start in the center of the outer edge of the circle of the green dot, and you're going to dot once and then continually down, all the way down to the base of one side. Then you re-dip your toothpick into some white paint, and then redot the first initial dot, and then dot all the way down to the base of the other side. And I refer to these as like little bridges. The next color is called Calypso Blue, and right in between the two little bridges there, we're going to place a dot of the Calypso Blue all the way around, just like we've been doing. And at a point, this is the last row where it'll go all the way around the design. It'll come to where you can just, it kind of just falls off the edges there. I'm going to be placing 2 dots with the stick end of the cotton swab right in between each of the larger blue dots all the way around. And then for the next row, it's called Purple Pizzazz, and we're going to be placing a dot right in between the larger blue dots, so right above the little dots there. And then I'm going to take the cotton swab end of the tool that we made and placing a dot right in between each of the larger dots all the way around. And then here I'm going to be doing that same, making those same little white lacy bridges. And you really want to hug to the curve of the dot, so really keep it close to it if you can, or as close as you can. And then when you make a mistake, you just use a little damp cotton swab and roll the paint up and away, and you're good to go. And just redot it. No sweat. I am going to fill in some of the areas. Here I'm using white, and I'm going to place dots like I did with the orange row. I'm going to just do white dots in between the yellow dots. Going back to the pencil eraser and adding some red. Going back with that red. Red alert. So I'm going to place a dot right above each of the small purple dots, and then I'm going to fill it in with an extra dot. And then fill it in even more with some small dots. It's however you really want to do it. If you don't have a lot of room or it makes you a little uncomfortable, then just skip this part, or any of the parts. Just make it your own. It's however you want to do it. It's going to be beautiful, I guarantee it. Next row, going back with the hardened cotton swab, and I'm just going to try my very best to keep a nice shapely, half circle here. There's no guidelines, so we're just kind of eyeballing it, but going back with the pink row and placing a dot right next to the red dots all the way down, and then following those up with an offset dot of yellow, the same tool. I cleaned it off. My apologies if you hear snoring. That is my little Chihuahua dog. He is down there. His name is Pablo. And he snores, and he's always with me in the studio. He never leaves my side. But he does snore quite loud. Hearing. Alright, going back with the pencil eraser for some orange. I just start somewhere in the middle and dot down to where you just can't dot anymore. To either side. I'm using a kneaded eraser to kind of hold it up for me, because it does, I'm going a little bit down underneath the side of the stone, but not too far down. You could just stop at the top, but I wanted it to wrap around a little bit. Alright, here I'm going with the stick end of the cotton swab, and I'm placing a dot down in the divot of the, the previous row, and then I'm going to put a dot right in between each of those. So there's a lot of little dots there, and they're kind of staggered, and I just thought it was cute. And then going back with the blue, so we're just repeating the color scheme here. So like a rainbow, like Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, I just added some pink and I added some white. And then I'm going to use the white, and I'm going to place a dot right in between each of the little divots on the yellow row. Just kind of filling in that space, and I like to add a little pop of white here and there every couple rings or so in some way or another. And it just breaks it up. It gives somewhere for the eye to rest. And there again, see, I just left in the mistakes, so you can see that, you know, we all make mistakes, and you can just clean them right up. It's no big deal. Putting 2 dots in between each of the blue dots. And then adding a row of purple, and then I think I can just fit a couple of red dots on the end there. And that's about it. Now, I did want to go back and mend my mistake. It is really pretty this way, but I just realized at the end, I was like, wait a second. I think this row is supposed to be orange, and the next row is supposed to be yellow. And that was my full intent. So I do change it. You just go right over top of them, because those are dry by now. No big deal at all. If something like this happens to you and you don't have time to get them off, or you can't mess up the whole thing, just wait till it dries and then go over top of it. It's really not a big deal. And I do think this looks a whole lot better when you see it all done, because it just kind of, there's something about that, you know, the sequence of a rainbow color, you know, like it just works. It works well to the eye. It's pleasing. So it's already looking better. I'm going to go ahead and touch up that second row of orange and yellow. And I did also go ahead and touch up little teeny tiny dots that were in between there. Doesn't that look so much better? You do want to make sure that your paint job is really good and dry before you do any kind of protective coating on it. But here is the final product. If you like this tutorial, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, I would absolutely love to have you as a subscriber. And feel free to watch all of my other, I don't know, 80-ish tutorials all on DotArt. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all real soon. Bye now.